This is Face the Nation, broadcasting live from the CNN IBN headquarters in New Delhi with Sagarika Ghosh.
Yes, it's 10 p.m. and when it's 10 p.m. we ask tense questions. Delhi police say they have caught the masterminds of the Delhi blast. Is the Indian state hunting down innocent Muslims, or is the Indian Muslim trapped in a persecution complex that any action against terrorism is seen as action against the Muslim community? Let's face the nation. Suspected terror militant Saif is taken to Karnataka as part of the police's investigations. The Muslim youth, who according to the police were part of the terrorist conspiracy behind the Delhi blast, are educated and young. The slain Atif, the alleged mastermind, was pursuing a degree in HRD. The arrested Saqib Nisar is an economics graduate and a gold medalist. That brings us to our question of the day tonight. Are Muslims trapped in a victim complex? What do you think about that rather controversial question? Type QOTD space Y for yes, QOTD space N for no, SMS to 52622. And as you know, you can express an opinion as well as vote online on that lively website known as ibnlive.com. And facing the nation tonight, we're hoping to be joined by Vrinda Grover, lawyer, right here in our Noida studio, Sheshadri Chari, senior journalist and member of the BJP, and Abu Saleh Sharif, economist, former member of the Planning Commission and author of the Sachar Committee report on the Indian Muslim. Time now for the top story on Face the Nation. The so-called encounter that took place last Friday in Jamia Nagar in Delhi, in which a police officer and two suspected terrorists died, has left the Muslim community there feeling alienated and targeted. Is the Muslim community seeing India's war on terrorism as a war on the community? Sumit Pandey and Simi Pasha report.
The police has an apparently foolproof story, but in times of terror, not everyone is convinced. In Jamia Nagar, the encounter is too fresh in people's minds, and everybody wants the whole story to be told, not just the official version.
Many people I talk to think that truth will never come out. One of the reasons is that the person who killed these two people, Sharma, he himself is dead. So the killer and the killed all are dead.
There is a persecution complex, a feeling of being alienated. Adil Mehdi, a lecturer of post-colonial literature at Jamia Millia Islamia, is anxious about the young students who are feeling threatened and vulnerable after the incident.
People who live outside in the area, surrounding area, have been, some of them have not been sleeping in their houses or in their flats because the last few days, because they fear that they could also be potentially picked up.
The only student who agreed to speak did that on the condition of not being named.
Yes, if they were the culprits, they should be, I guess they met their fate. But as a layman, I would suggest they should have been shot in the leg. They should have been gone through a proper trial and a proper case.
Because of the fact that the police crackdown is on youngsters and in a largely residential locality, there is a perception of victimization. It is a sensitive issue that needs to be dealt with in an equally sensitive manner. Meet Dr. Abu Saleh Sharif, the economist who drafted the Sachar panel report on the condition of Muslims. He worries about the plight of the Muslim middle class.
The Muslim community is slowly losing the feeling of ownership of the locality, of a country, of your state, of the people around.
There are also voices which insist that the minority cannot afford to live in isolation, especially not now.
सहारा लेना ही पड़ता है मुझको दरिया का मैं खतरा हूं तन्हा तो बह नहीं सकता.
With Sumit Pandey in New Delhi, Simi Pasha.
So you saw those reactions there to the encounter that took place in Jamia Nagar, and the question that we are asking you tonight: are Muslims trapped in a victim complex? Are the agencies that are operating against terrorism also having to be mindful of the persecution complex that perhaps some Muslims are facing and the fear that they're facing? What do you think about that controversial question? 47% in fact are saying yes, 53 are saying no. So a majority they are saying no, the Muslim is not trapped in a victim complex. The question is something different. Let's get into Crossfire. Sheshadri Chari, let me begin the discussion with you. This is a controversial question. These are sensitive times. An encounter has taken place in which a police officer has died and two suspected militants have been killed. Now, you saw the fear there in Jamia Nagar. You saw the feelings of frustration and alienation. I have a viewer who's written that the Sangh Parivar is trying to convert Indian society into a lynch mob against the Muslim. How do you respond to that?
I don't want to comment on the views of one individual, but let me assure. I mean, I'm not only speaking from the viewpoint of my particular party or an organization, but as a person who has been traumatized by the incidents that have taken place in the last few months, beginning from the blast in Bombay, the beginning from the blast in Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Delhi.
But the question is, every time the Sangh Parivar talks about terrorism, the subtext seems to be Muslims.
Not at all.
Muslims are the anti-national.
No, we have never said that Muslims are anti-nationals. We have never said it. In fact, we want the government of India, we want any government for that matter, to enact strict laws that will counter terrorism. At the same time, the oft-repeated demand that quota should be reintroduced, even there I go to the extent of saying that introduce a law which will take care of anti-terrorism, but at the same time which will avoid all the shortcomings of quota, and all those elements which tend to misuse quota can be removed.
Okay, Abu Saleh Sharif, let me get you in here. In the war against terrorism, when enforcement agencies have to tackle criminals, why should enforcement agencies have to worry about offending a particular community? Won't that retard the war on terrorism? If the police is constantly worrying that, oh, I don't want to offend Muslim sentiment, or the Muslims may get upset, the Muslims may feel persecuted, won't that actually diminish the state's ability to actually crack down on criminals?